Hare Krishna to everybody. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Srinvatam Swakataha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridaya Antasto Hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Shruti Satam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यभागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, Verse 11. Bhakti muhuhu pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyadananta mahatam amalasyanam enanja salobanam uru vyasanam bhavat bhim naishya bhavat guna kathamrita panamattaha. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nascent ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes which are eternally existent. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The significant point in Dhruva Maharaj's statement is that he wanted the association of pure devotees. Transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. We have therefore established the Internal Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone who is trying to be aloof from this Krishna Consciousness Society and yet engage in Krishna consciousness is living in a great hallucination, for this is not possible. From this statement by Dhruva Maharaj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from material activities. The Lord says, Prabhuji, 1 second, I had issue in my system here. One second. It does not distinct from the material activities. Sorry, I had an issue in my system. Please bear with me. The Lord says, Satam prasanga mama viryas samvido bhavanti rit karana rasayanaha. Bhagavatam 3.25.25. Only in the association of pure devotees can the words of Lord Krishna be fully potent and relishable to the heart and ear. Dhruva Maharaj explicitly wanted the association of devotees. That association in devotional activities is just like the waves of an increasingly flowing river. In our Krishna Consciousness Society, we have full engagement 24 hours a day. Every moment of our time is always busily engaged in the service of the Lord. This is called the incessant flow of devotional service. A Mayavadi philosopher may question us, you may be very happy in the association of devotees, but what is your plan for crossing the ocean of material existence? Dhruva Maharaj's answer is that it is not very difficult. He clearly says that this ocean can be crossed very easily if one simply becomes mad to hear the glories of the Lord. Bhavat Guna Kataha, for anyone who persistently engages in hearing the topics of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and who is actually addicted to this process, just as one becomes addicted to intoxicants. It is very easy to cross the nescience of material existence. The ocean of material nescience is compared to a blazing fire, but to a devotee, this blazing fire is insignificant because it is completely absorbed in devotional service. Although the material world is blazing fire to a devotee, it appears full of pleasure. Vishwam Purna Sukhyayate. The purport of this statement by Dhruva Maharaj is that devotional service in the association of devotees is the cause of development of further devotional service. By devotional service only is one elevated to transcendental planet Goloka Vrindavana, and there also there is only devotional service for the activities of devotional service both in this world and in spiritual world are one and the same. Devotional service does not change. The example of a mango can be given here. If one gets an unripe mango, it is still a mango. And when it is ripe, it remains the same mango, but it has become more tasteful and relishable. Similarly, there is devotional service performed according to the direction of spiritual master and the injunctions and regulative principles of Shastra. And there is devotional service in the spiritual world rendered directly in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they are both the same. There is no change. The difference is that one stage is unripe and the other is ripe and more relishable. It is possible to mature in devotional service only in the association of devotees. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we have seen how Dhruva Maharaj performs austerity and gets the vision of Lord in his heart, and Lord appears before him and benedicts him with all his desires and disappears. Dhruva undergoes a highly transcendental feelings of ecstasy and love for Lord, and he wanted to kiss the lotus feet of the Lord and embrace Lord. After this, Dhruva realizes that he had committed blunder for asking his desire to be fulfilled instead for love of Godhead. And from verse 10, we understand, Dhruva Maharaj understands that, and he greatly appreciated that the result of devotional service are far more valuable than merging into the absolute or being elevated to the heavenly planets. So he wanted the association of pure devotees. From this statement by Dhruva Maharaj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from material activities. So, what are those qualifications of pure devotees? How do we recognize the pure devotees? These are some of the qualifications one can see in pure devotees. The special qualification of pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without considering the time or place. There should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. A pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon him, for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is a system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti Yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. One is Shanta Bhakta, engaged in devotional service in neutrality. Second is Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as a servant. And Sakya Bhakta, engaged as a friend. And Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as parent. And Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always constantly engaged in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord and cannot forget the Supreme Lord. And so for him, the Lord is easily attainable. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment. And similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. This is the great blessing of the Krishna conscious process of chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. The pure bhakti devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkamaha, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. The pure devotee only wants to please the Supreme Lord, and so the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to attain. The devotees can render service to any of the transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord, and he meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of the other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin by simply chanting Hare Krishna. Krishna is very merciful to those who engage in his service, and he helps in various ways the devotees who is fully surrendered to him so he can understand him as he is. The Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.62, Dhyato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate. The meaning of this verse is, while contemplating the object of senses, a person develops attachment for them. States that one desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. If we keep company with the devotees of Krishna, we will develop our love for Krishna. It's also stated in Bhagavad Gita that who goes for God? There are four kinds of categories people. One who is in need of something approaches God. Second is the distressed conditioned person approaches the God. And the third one group of people are those people who fall into the inquisitive of who is trying to understand the God through logical means. And the last category are the one who just want for the sake of loving God. If you see here, Dhruva Maharaj initially fell into the category of distress and in need of something. So the Srimad Bhagavatam verse 3.25.25 says, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. By cultivating knowledge of the Supreme Lord, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction to the Lord becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So that is why Dhruva Maharaj felt that association of pure devotees is the most valuable and he was hankering for it. So what happens when we associate with pure devotees? By associating with pure devotees, one advances in Krishna consciousness and devotional services. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make any advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Gradually, people are convinced of the impersonal feature. Generally, people are convinced that the feature of the absolute truth as an impersonal and have no idea of any personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the absolute truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service cannot be rendered to anyone and to anything impersonal. Of course, one can render service to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lords are described. They think that these activities are fictional, non-fictional stories because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mode. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees, and by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 14, the verse says, Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nityasaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nityayuktasya Yoginaha. For one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Partha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. The material conditioned souls spend their days and nights discussing various topics of senses gratification. They never find time to hear about transcendental knowledge. But if one briefly or accidentally hear Hari Katha, topics of Krishna, in the association of pure devotees of the Lord, their propensity to suffer in material existence will slacken. When one sees liberated persons, hears about Krishna from them, remembers their saintly behavior and so on, and one's tendency to bind himself in the illusion of sense gratification is diminished, and he becomes eager to serve the Supreme Lord. So in the Vedanta Sutra, this is also described in the following words. Prakashaha cha karmanya abhyasata. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. Narada, who happened to be the son of maidservant, had no education, nor was he born into a high family. But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes, in absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narada personally says, only by their permission he took the remnants of their food, and by doing so, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, he became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of transcendental became attractive to him. Narada tells his disciple Vyasadeva that in a previous life he was engaged as a boy servant of purified devotees during 4 months of their stay, and that he was intimately associating with them. So he asked the great devotees whether he could eat them, and they gave their permission. Narada then ate those remnants and consequently became freed from all sinful reactions. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure-hearted as the sages and had gradually developed the same taste. The great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service of the Lord, hearing, chanting, etc. And by developing the same taste, Narada wanted also to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Thus, by associating with the sages, he developed a great desire to devotional service. Therefore, he quotes from Vedanta Sutra, Prakashaha cha karmanya abhyasataha. If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically, and he can understand. This is called prakasha, directly perceived. Narad was actually son of maidservant. Then he did not have any opportunity to go to school, and he simply followed his mother, assisting the great sages and the devotees. He got an opportunity to reach the highest goal of all religions, that is devotional service. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of the stage of devotional service. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for understanding the path of self-realization. But although he was not educated in Vedic principle, Narada acquired the highest results of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be praised to the highest perfection. And how is this possible? This is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Acharyavana Purusho Veda. One who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has not studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. So these were some of the incidents and examples I got and quoted from um, Prabhupada's teachings, as well as some other great acharyas and their writings, to understand how valuable it is to have an association of pure devotees in order to achieve the highest goal, which through Maharaj was aspiring, which he stated in this verse 11. So I stop here. Please forgive for any shortcomings, and also apologize once again for the